Today we're going to be doing a brake job for the front of a Ford. This particular brake job will be for a Ford Windstar 95, but the whole concept and pretty much the whole procedure is going to be the same for any car that, any Ford that's in this era, so 1990s Ford and any newer Fords. It'll be similar, and this will work for pretty much any car that has disc brakes. The cool thing is that most disc brakes are made the same. There's going to be little nuances that maybe you have to do something a little bit different, but the whole concept will be the same. So if you watch this, you'll be able to change your disc brakes and save yourself some big money. You go change disc brakes, it costs $200, $100. I mean, it all depends, plus parts. And this is just going to cost $50, and we got the best brakes. So the first step is going to be there's two bolts, one here and one down here, that hold this caliper on, and we're gonna I'll show you. See the two bolts right here and right here? We're gonna take the bottom bolt off so we can actually lift this caliper up like that. The reason why we're lifting it up instead of sliding it down, which is easier, is because this brake line here is too tight to slide it down. So if we lift it up, we have a lot more motion, range of motion, so we can get to the brake pads in here. So let's go do that now. So here are the tools you'll need to change disc brakes. You need this to get the lugs off your wheel. You also need a jack and jack the car up. You're gonna need a screwdriver and ratchet so that you could get the calipers off, the bolt off, and then pry it up so it's easier for you to get the caliper off the pads. And then you'll need this tool to compress the piston in the caliper, and some brake clean and a nice brush to get all the rust off and all grime and stuff, depending on how clean or dirty your brakes are. And that's all you need to change your brake pads. Oh yeah, I guess you also need some new brakes, right? What we're going to use is a 12 millimeter ratchet, and we want to take the bottom bolt off. Okay, and this is what the bolt looks like. Just put that somewhere you won't lose it. And what we're going to do is, a lot of times these are hard to lift up. You just get a screwdriver and just pop it up like that. Very simple. Okay. The brake pads might fall out. Doesn't matter, they're old, they're used, they're warm. You can see on these brake pads, look at that, so little bit left. I'll go show you the new ones right now and compare them. So here's the difference between brake pads. Now look at all that meat and look at that. So this one's been worn out. We're going to replace it with a nice new one here. So how these caliper brakes actually work is there's a piston in here, and you can see the piston right there. And that piston is what forces the brake pads to close onto this rotor. So as this rotor spins, the brake pads, like this, press against the rotor, create friction, and stop the car. So the brake pads sit on these right here. So the first thing we're going to want to do after we get this off is just hit. This is just brake clean right there, and we're going to want to hit the spots where the pads sit with some brake clean. I mean, these are clean, so it's not a big deal, but I'm just showing you the right way to do it. And then you're going to take a wire brush and just brush all the stuff off, just so there's no buildup. Okay, after you brush it, I guess I should tell you that a lot of times people change their rotors as well as their brake pads because their rotors will warp or they'll be grooved because they changed their brakes too late. These rotors are fine. They are not causing the car to vibrate, they stop well, and they're not grooved at all. You could tell by just running your fingernail across it. It's smooth. With your brakes, you're gonna have synthetic grease that comes with it. And what you wanna do is you wanna put a little bit of grease on the back so that it doesn't stick to the caliper. And you wanna put grease on where it's gonna sit inside. So it sits like this. There's contact here and here. We wanna make sure we grease those areas so that there's free movement in and out and it doesn't stay rubbing against the rotor here. So I'll show you the exact spots you're going to want to grease. So the spots I'm going to grease, again, are right there. And then right at the tip of my finger. You can see the brake pads sit on there. And then same thing on the other side. So the other side, it's the same exact setup on the other side. You want to grease down there. Then you want to do the same thing for the top. So now where my thumb is where we're going to look. Right back here you want to grease. And then you might want to throw a little bit of grease on this piston ring on the edge just so the calipers don't stick. You don't need to put a lot, just need to get it covered. So those are the contact points, and then I always just throw a little bit on here where it's going to contact it. So how this goes in, you push, you lift this up, you push the brake pad in, and you see how it sits really nicely there? That's what you want. I mean, it's going to slide right in. And then we'll go get the other one. And that's going to slide right in as well. Make sure the springs are facing upwards. And now we're going to go and compress that piston that's on here. So here's where that specialized tool comes in. It's only like $5. You need it to do this brake job, or you could use a C-clamp. Just get the tool. Makes life a lot easier. So the tool fits in really nicely, and you're just compressing that piston because these are new brakes, so they have more meat on them. So you're going to need to compress the piston. Otherwise, like, look what happens if I try to push this down. See, right there, it makes contact. See the piston making contact with the new brakes? That's because these brakes are thicker, because they're brand new. So we're going to actually take this piston, we're going to use this tool, which goes in just like that. See how it holds it? And then you turn this knob right here, and it pushes that piston in. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. Okay, now this should have plenty of clearance. Good. We're going to try to align this to this so we could slide the bolt in. When I was doing this before, because the brakes were so pushed out, because they were used, the caliper was so expanded, this nut, the nut holder, whatever, the thread that you screw this into, is pushed out. So I didn't realize. I was like trying to close it, and I was like, okay, well there's plenty of room with the piston, but then this just had to be pushed in. So don't get caught up on that like I just did. It's a mistake. Easy, dumb mistake. So now we're just trying to align this hole. And it's going to want to push backwards because you have those springs in here. You can see the spring right there is actually perfectly set. Good. So that's on. And now we're going to just tighten again with that 12 millimeter. And now while you want to get this pretty snug, you don't want to over tighten it. Okay, so right there is snug. And I just give it a little bit of a tug right there. I mean, you don't want anything crazy. There is minimal vibration here. It's just from the wheel vibrating, and these bolts are on pretty tight. And you could even check the top bolt just to make sure. And then that's how you change the brakes. That's it. It's done. You just saved yourself a lot of money. And this, again, could be applied to many different Fords and other cars. I have a Chevy, I have a Mazda, which is a Ford, and a Chrysler, and they all have similar methods. You could actually see, I'll put the link right in the top corner for how to change the brakes on the drum brakes on another Ford or Mazda. That link will be there, and then on this side, right over here, I'll put a link on how to change the rear disc brakes on a P2 Cruiser. And if you want to see those processes, I mean, the drum brakes are way different than these. So they're a lot harder, a lot more complicated, but you could easily do it as well, especially if you watch the video. And then, I mean, the rear PT Cruiser disc brakes are almost the exact same process, and you could watch and see. If you have a Chrysler, even a Mercedes, they have the similar process. So again, check out the videos, and subscribe if you like to see how-to videos. And yeah, so go get the work. Take care.